Welcome everyone to another Industry in Transition Zoom call, and I'm very happy to have Bill Crager from Envestnet on the phone with us today, or on the Zoom call. What do you call that, Bill? I don't even know. You're the tech guy, but
it's a video call, Tony.
Video call, okay, a video call. I like to give Zoom the credit because they've turned this into a household. It's like ketchup now. They're very lucky.
They've made it a lot easier to be connected. That's for sure.
They did. And that brings up the point. So I want to get kind of right into it. I mean, we've been through this, incredible, series of events, a pandemic, a market crash, social unrest and everything else that's going on. And, in a lot of ways, our business is right in the middle of that. Other than people's health, which they worry about, they're concerned about their legacy, their money, what's going to happen today. They're out of a job, they're in a job. And the community that you and I both serve, financial advisors, are in the crosshairs, and the pressure and they have to be psychiatrists, they have to be, they're practicing medicine without a license, they're doing all these different things to try to help their clients get through it. What are you seeing? We never would have, no one in their right mind would have said, let's take 3 months off out of the office and everybody do this from home and let's rely on our technology, right? You would have been fired had you done that, last year.
Yep.
So how's it worked for you guys? How's it been?
Yeah, thanks, and thanks for inviting me on today, Tony. The series has been outstanding, and I just appreciate being part of the conversation. So, no one would have projected what occurred over these months. I mean, 2020 has been the most extraordinary year of my life. What's remarkable is how well the industry has responded, how well advisors responded to something that could not be imagined, right? I mean, who would have, if you went 1 year from today and projected that we would be in the place that we are, people would have really thought you were crazy, right? But this is where we are. So what we've seen is, you're exactly right. When people got home and began to grapple with the reality of what we were facing from a health crisis, but also a financial crisis. I mean, they first concern is my family going to be okay health-wise, and are we going to be able to afford this period of time, and what does it mean? So our systems lit up. The volumes that we saw from number of individuals checking on their balances to advisors that were beginning to respond to the market volatility were historic, and that was occurring just as Envestnet was also going remote. Proud to say our system scaled. They were able to deliver on the service level expectations of all of our advisors and users, and so technology became kind of the centerpiece. There are a lot of...
That's an interesting point. I'd like to hear a little bit more. So you saw it spike up during it. Has it leveled off? Does it have spikes that go along with the market, or do you feel that
spikes that go along with the market? Whenever there's volatility, you're going to see those people just check their balances. People get online. People start to ask questions. Advisors begin to react, and they begin to manage. And we see the volumes that week in March. 5 consecutive days of volume activity that we'd never seen before. And we did that remotely. They were remote, everyone was remote, and we were remote, and we're able to execute on that. There are so many negative and really difficult stories that are out there today, but one of the remarkable miracle stories is what technology has done during this period of time. Tony, can you imagine 10 years ago if this occurred? I mean, can you imagine
3 years ago?
Exactly.
This wouldn't have happened even a short time ago. And that begs the second question, which is, what are we? And I've asked a bunch of people something similar, but this is your area. What are we going to take from this? So not everything's going to stay this. I think there's going to be profound changes in our industry because of this crisis, right? Part of it is being at home, being able to do what you and I are doing now. The sort of third wall is broken down with clients. But from a technology perspective, what are you learning, and what do you think we're going to take with us when things, get back to normal?
Right. So I think that the world just becomes more and more digital. We again, the adaptability of people and the way they use tools to adapt to their environment, going back to the caveman all the way to today. Look, we're kind of bred the same way. We've got the same genealogy. We adapt and respond. And in this new environment, in my expectation of what will happen, you cannot operate as a financial advisor in the years ahead if you do not have a very comprehensive digital storefront. That doesn't mean you're ceding away what you do, all the value provided as an advisor. Not at all. The robo whole thing was a lot of hype, and some firms have gotten some traction, but they haven't changed the world. What will change the world is how people relate to their wealth in a digital and human from a digital and human standpoint going forward. So advisors need to have the storefronts, the ability for the client to be home with something that's occurred and needing answers at 10 p.m. on a Sunday night, and have the ability to answer those questions through the technology that you offer. So to give that individual, that family, some peace of mind when they need it, not when it's convenient for you. So our expectation is that the digital presence infrastructure for an advisor becomes very client engaging, opens up some things that have only been controlled by the advisor, but now you're going to give more and more to the end client. But at the end of the day, those important questions have to be answered by you, the financial advisor. And that's the model that'll evolve out of this.
Yeah, and I think people are getting used to answering the phone at 10 o'clock, on Sunday. Yeah. In some ways, the job doesn't end. But I think people are accepting of this now, and you have to ask yourself, why would an 80-year-old client drive themselves all the way over to your office for a standard kind of review when they know now that they can just Zoom you and pick up the phone? And they know that because they Zoom their grandkids, of course, right? So they're not missing. They get this technology now.
All the time. And I look at that elder population. We're kind of in that parent zone in the 80s. Hey, they are on Zoom, connected with doctors. They're connected with their families. They're connected with critical providers all the time. And so, they've built up an environment. It might take them a little longer to log on, but that elder generation, the 80, 70 plus generation, is absolutely online and engaged digitally. That's not going to be
when they see technology that works for them, they're on it. They don't need Instagram and all that kind of crap. But when they see that this really helps them, that they don't have to drag their butts to a doctor's office, or conversely go to your office. Now that you've talked to them from home, how are you going to go back? Yeah. How are you going to say, well, now you got to come to my office? I don't think that's going to work.
I think so too. And so it will change. There's no doubt about it. There's a convenience to it. There's a flexibility that everybody's been given by being able to, run your daily routine, but then sit down and get online and be as productive, just about as productive. But the key is, to me, is the fidelity of this connection, right? You and I are having a conversation. It's back and forth. That has to be the same as somebody connects with their advisor. It just the fidelity of it has to be just like you're across the table from me.
Yeah, you can't. I think, again, had this been 3 years ago and people tried to implement this, there wouldn't have been as much acceptance. Right. Now that everyone's been forced to do it, they get it and they're okay with it. So that makes the clients okay with having these kind of conversations. You could almost have thought it might be an insult I'm going to talk to you on the phone. I'm not going to take the time to meet you in person, right? That could have been insulting in some ways, and now it's not.
Well, no, now it's necessary. And again, it just speaks to the enormous agility and adaptability of mankind and humankind. The fact that you can bring everybody and get remote and change the way you engage with 90% of your life is extraordinary to me.
Are you guys going to change any of the things that you're doing? Are you going to bring some new technology in that may help facilitate some of these things that you anticipate?
Yeah, so we've got quite a bit invested in what I'd call our client engagement tools. So that's a client portal where an individual can utilize our components of our financial planning, look at their performance reports, but begin to interact with them in a different way to understand how the market would be impacting them, and really begin to judge what the impact is on their advancement toward their plan, the integration of video, chat, calendaring, scheduling, and really the other area, Tony, that we're very focused on is automating some of the responses. So the best client service environments are where you can just type in a question and you get an answer immediately. So we bought an AI, conversational AI company a couple of years ago, and we're bringing that out to advisors so advisors can
Would advisors have access to that? They'd be able to add that to their...
Exactly. Yeah. So 50% of the questions advisors get will be, in the near future can automatically be answered by the AI, conversational AI, whether that's voice like Siri or that's chat, just a text that you send.
And when do you anticipate that?
That'll be out in the market by the end of the year. Yeah. 2020. Yeah.
That's great. And that will help some of what we talked about initially, which is you're going to have to be available 10 o'clock Sunday night, but you just assume not answer the phone if you don't have to.
All the time. And, most of the questions people get are easily answered. The tough ones need people. I mean, there's no doubt about it. And that's where, the real value that an advisor provides. But in the meantime, the way that client is able to engage with you is always. And that's something that we're really focused on.
So industry as a whole, we've continued to see, and by the way, even through this pandemic and through all the scares that we've had and the markets declining, we've still seen this movement of folks out of the wirehouses and into the independent space. That seems like something that's real and it's going to continue. And of course, you have different levels of independence, right? You have where people are more comfortable. Some advisors want to be in an office because, for instance, I have an expertise in just doing stocks and bonds, but I don't know anything about 401ks. Is like a pain in the neck. It's a low margin business, so I like being in an office where I have another person I can sort of throw that business to if I need to. Mm-hmm. So these aggregator firms are doing well as well. There's sort of a flavor for everybody. Yeah. I mean, obviously, you guys are based on the RIA side of things, right, or the independent side of things, working with firm. How do you see that trend continuing, and that's all part of your business plan going forward, or?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think the beauty of our business is you can find the right environment and you can build your business based on a platform. The platform could be a wire, it could be an independent broker dealer, a bank, could be an RIA. But firms have been really creative, and the hybrid firms have done a really good job of enabling those choices. Whether you need a broker dealer to help on parts of your business, or you're predominantly RIA, and just how they're able to support those businesses. We see in the future, this is a business lesson also to advisors, especially the RIA community, where they did not have the same business continuity plans that, Envestnet or Morgan Stanley had. They're small businesses. And so when you go remote, now suddenly your firm of, 5-10 people, how do you connect? How do you do all the functions that you used to do when you were sitting next to each other? So we think that in the future, there'll be more, number one, advisors will move to more of a cloud-based environment. So your data and the applications that sit on that data much more accessible. And the insights that you'll be able to surface out of that data will become pretty profound. You can understand how clients, really predict what clients are going to want from you. So that's an area that'll be very interesting. But also, I think outsourcing becomes a bigger and bigger theme. It's not just technology, it's not just asset management, but also inside your business. Things like, finance, things like compliance, things like marketing, also capital. How do you access capital? Those things will become more service platform type of capabilities that advisors will be able to take advantage of.
And where does Envestnet sit in all that? In other words, some of those things you mentioned, capital, which if I'm running a firm, which I've done a couple of times, right? So would love to have had access to things like that. Where do you guys sit in the mix of that?
Yeah, we've always taken it, hey, look, we want to help advisors offer advice to their clients. That's where we've been focused. We built all our technology to do it. Today we serve $3.5 trillion in assets, helping advisors engage with clients. That's extraordinary. But they run businesses every day, and how do we help them do that? So we announced something called the Advisor Services Exchange in partnership with Dynasty Financial, and really that's where we'll build out that platform of services. I think they've done a good job. Other firms have done a really good job in helping advisors in those areas, but how do you scale it? So the way to scale it, we think, is technology, but taking our technology platform and beginning to point it back to the advisor's practice. And that's something we announced it about 8 weeks ago on our virtual summit, and there's a lot of good detail online about that.
I think that's a fantastic opportunity, for everybody. And I think, by the way, Cheryl might be up there in Saratoga as well. You never know.
I see Cheryl in town. Yeah, I've split my time between Saratoga Springs and Philadelphia, where I have my home, and I do see Cheryl at the coffee shop occasionally.
Yeah, and I do. My wife and my sisters went to Skidmore too, and
Okay.
I told her I have cousins up there, so
Yeah.
I'm very familiar.
You'll have to come back up and visit, Tony.
I'd like to. I'll definitely. I want to see my cousins at some point there, so I have to.
Yeah, exactly. I know where they are. Yep.
9 Maple. That's right. I want to make sure we talk about everything that you wanted to talk about as well. So, is there any topic that I've look? There's so much going on, that you want to talk about that I might have missed.
I just think this is as difficult a time as it's been, and honestly, it's hard to be optimistic. But I am a glass half full. Our industry has really shown its essential, value, and what we've done as an industry, as people, I think shines bright in all of this. Advisors did a tremendous job in helping their clients through this period of time. Our data says it. And then I know in the latest Spectrum report, it also validated how individuals relied less on these self-serve models and more on financial advisors during this period of time, because the questions became more and more complicated. So for me, I believe the spotlight, the positive spotlight in all the noise and rancor that we hear each and every day should be the story about how great advisors did during this period. I am proud to be part of it, but advisors are playing an essential role.
They do. It's very, my struggle with that is it's hard to get that message out. Mm-hmm. So it's like everybody loves to beat up advisors, but everybody has a great advisor. So everybody says, well, my advisor's great, but advisors are terrible. You got to watch out for them. They got their hand in your pocket. My guy's the best. You got to talk to my guy. There's that disconnect between, and it's frustrating.
Yeah, and I think what we want to do is, we're sharing data every other week on what advisors are doing, and that data during this period of time absolutely demonstrates the incredible job that the body of financial advisors. We serve 100,000 financial advisors, Tony. So it's 1/3 of the U.S. market. So our data is representative of what advisors are doing, and they, again, they've done a very good job on behalf of their clients, and so
I want to work with you on some of that stuff, because we shouldn't keep it a secret. We should let everyone know.
I think it's awesome, and I try to say it as loud and as often as I can, because again, having a financial advisor, B, I think out of this, having a financial plan, so when you get home, you can answer the question, what should I do? Well, what should I do is tied back to your financial plan. I want to retire. I want to leave something for the grandkids. I want to, send kids to college, whatever it is, there's an answer to it. And the answer is, okay, can I achieve my goals? And if you can achieve your goals, you can exhale. Or if I feel I've got someone on the other end of the line who's going to be there to help me navigate to my goal, you can exhale. And those, psychologically, a lot of the long-term impact of this will be mental health. And the anxiety so many families have felt. I know through so many people, how many people have had discussions, is our estate in order? What if I die? Just really deep and difficult conversations. Well, they all have answers. Yeah. And advisors are in the middle of those questions and providing the answers.
Well, a smart guy would end the show here, because that's a great linear, sort of ending. But this is a hot mess of a show. We do what we got to do. I just remembered what else I wanted to ask you about, which is Reg BI stuff, and where you see yourself in sort of the mix of that, and how you help, or where you think that's going to impact. We talked scale briefly, but this seems to be an area where scale helps.
Yeah. I think so. I mean, all along, we've been on the side of the fiduciary. The platform basically helps advisors deliver to a fiduciary standard. That was years ago. We continue to do it. Our reporting, our access to data, the way that we're able to help firms, open up their books or their records so that the regulators can take a look to see what they're doing is really helpful. It cuts down on all the questions, and I think over time, what we've heard, not in a Reg BI, but a typical audit standpoint, advisors who have had the Envestnet platform or similar platform just have a much easier time engaging with those evaluations from the regulators because the data is there and people can take a look at it. So in my mind, scale matters, our ability to manage that and help advisors adhere to Reg BI, and then whatever other regulation is going to come our way from a fiduciary standpoint, I think is key,
Yeah, because this is one of those things that we're not really going to know the answers because they're going to be adjudicated, right? So we're going to figure a lot of these rules come from people getting into lawsuits and then switching the rule a little bit here, a little bit there. But certainly would help advisors to be with someone who can partner with them that's giving this some thought.
Right, and I think the more data you have as a firm and access to that data, you are going, whatever eager attorney sits on the other side of that is going to be dissuaded because of the information and the footprints or breadcrumbs that you have and everything that you do with your client. So that's key. And to me, the way to dissuade somebody who sees some opportunity from a legal standpoint is to have the data and the information at your fingertips.
We all love lawyers. Thank God they're there.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. I think that's a terrific note to sort of end on. So I appreciate you being here, Bill. Let's do it again because things are changing as
Absolutely. I'm so grateful that you asked me. This is, I'm happy to do it. Your list of guests have been just outstanding. Some really important, good people, great perspectives, and I hope so many advisors take advantage of all the podcasts that you've put out there because they're really valuable.
Well, it's for them. This is a community that both you and I love, so we want to do what we can to keep everybody informed. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it.
All right, awesome, Tony. Thank you.
Thanks.